Hi there and welcome back, where it's just after midnight and Band-Maid's Unleashed just came out, so here I am to give you a review, because I, like many people, was really excited for this. Now, I've got a lot of notes, because I've been writing a lot of notes since it just came out, watched it back a couple of times, and I thought I'm going to give you a review of this, so I'm going to be turning and looking at my notes as we talk. But let's get straight into this by just running through the song first of all, because I really just thought, as we came in from that premiere, we had the wonderful YouTube countdown music we always get, the screen goes black, and then I was just kind of expecting it to come in as normal, Band-Maid song, guitars rocking, but this started off with the vocals. First thing we hear, Psyche's voice. Kind of reminded me of the beginning of Choose Me. I really like that sort of way that we just came in with the vocals. It's, you know, it's not completely something they've never done before, like I say, but it was just a little bit different from what my brain was automatically expecting, and I loved it. I loved the way that they were using her voice to get you ramped up straight away, rather than just roaring in with the guitars. Starting with the vocals lets you kind of know that this is almost like a narrative-based song. We're going to follow the vocals and it's going to take us on a journey, build us up to the chorus, as it certainly did. Now, it's also worth pointing out that this song is kind of stylistically a mix of the Band-Maid that we know. Kind of, in lots of ways, it is a familiar Band-Maid song, but it kind of mixes that old-style Band-Maid who are, if you like, big on the choruses and the melodies, also with a little bit of the more recent sort of Band-Maid who like the frantic sort of unseen world style of playing. I did notice that Konami particularly used a lot of guitar sounds here. Now, of course, Miku's been playing guitar for quite a lot of years now. I know that Konami's obviously the lead guitarist, but it could well have been Miku using a lot of guitar sounds as well. But there was a lot of interesting changes to the distortion of the guitar pedal sounds in this, which I thought was quite interesting. I mean, overall, there was a feeling that there was, although it was still basically all rock sounds, you know, distorted guitars and things like that for the best part, they were playful, you know, they weren't just keeping the sound static. There were little changes to the guitar distortion, which I thought was interesting. And that's something we have been hearing more of, certainly a lot on Unseen World. But just over the course of their career, they seem to be becoming a little bit more interesting with the guitar sounds we used. Again, it was one of those frantic riffs that kind of remind you, I think I first really heard them do that in Screaming, but we heard, again, more of this sort of style of frantic, high-pitched, weirdly distorted riff since Unseen World. It's become very much part of the quintessential signature Konami sound. So it carried those things. Like I say, in a lot of ways it was familiar Band-Maid, but as is always the case with a single, it's the band you know, but it has enough to make it original and different. Now, chorus was good. Chorus was relatively catchy. You know, we don't expect sort of like number one hit single, earworm kind of pop stuff from Band-Maid, but it was a catchy chorus that you could enjoy, that you especially actually had that quality you could shout along to. It's the sort of chorus you can imagine being good live. That's more the sort of Band-Maid chorus that we expect, and on that front they delivered. But I must say that actually my attention usually, as you guys know, goes towards the bridge. Good bridge can make a song. This, again, mixing kind of what we know with Band-Maid with a little bit of that sort of moving forwards, you know, being on the cutting edge of their sound, you know, always sort of developing. I like the fact that it started off as a very melodic bridge. Interesting how when the bridge came in, Psyche was doing quite a fast vocal line, but you noticed how every single word she was saying was on the beat, no skip beats. It was very sort of like a thumping, marching rhythm she had to her vocals, which actually kind of, although the bridge started off kind of quietly pulling back, you know, sort of ready, recording that spring to burst forward in what would be the solo and then the final chorus. I like the fact they kept that tension, they kept the pace in the music by having Psyche's vocal sort of marching on the beat as that came in. So the music got more quiet, but the tension stayed there. And then, as I say, we burst into that Konami solo. Great solo as always. I rarely have any reason to complain about a Konami solo. I've always said that I'm always very cautious of any solo that feels perfunctory, that feels like it's just there because that's what you do before the last chorus. This, again, didn't feel like that. As mentioned, kind of summing up what I said there, really, the bridge started by pulling things back, keeping a bit of tension while going quieter, then using the solo to really blast you into the final chorus. And it did that. It was a good bridge. It was well-rounded, went through a lot of things. And then when we went into that last chorus, one of the things I really liked was I liked that halfway through the last chorus, we get the drum beat slows down and it kind of goes for that halftime beat to really sort of now you headbang. You know how the chorus goes. It's been frantic up to this point, but now you can headbang. You can just sing and shout it one last time. You know, this is the last time the chorus is going to be here. Sing it one last time. I love actually when rock bands do that on faster songs. Punk bands sometimes do that. It's a really good technique. Not enough punk bands do it, but it's a good technique if you've got a fast song and you really want to sort of really drill home the chorus in the last instance. You don't always think about slowing down the beat being more dramatic, but when it's been fast up to that point and you've got a real sort of call and answer, singable chorus, that's a good way to, like I say, really thump it home in the last instance. And then you go from that point and then you play out on that riff again, that frantic riff. The beat comes back in and everything just sort of drives you home. The vocals sort of carry the chorus line over it and it just sort of wraps everything up and concludes it beautifully at the end. So I loved the way that this was put together. I mean, overall, there's a lot of superlatives written on my screen here, but I mean, yeah, it's like I say, it's detailed, it's creative, it shows that sort of love for nuance that we know from Band-Maid, that love for being creative. You know, of course they do their core sound, and we do expect that in a single, especially a single that is the first indication of a new release coming up, like a mini album in this case, but still an album, still a sort of a major release for the band. So it's going to have their core sound, but they never sound complacent. They always sound like they're doing something with it. And this is a fast version of them. They were definitely playing a lot with fast songs on Unseen World. So I get the feeling like this is definitely showing that Unseen World is something that they're carrying forward. Some of those lessons they're carrying forward, which is always a great thing about them. I think they do. Now, sonically, it is worth pointing out that the sound of the song, again, mostly really good things to say about that. I like the fact that the way it was mixed, the whole mixing of the song was quite bright. You know, everything was very clear. It was more, there was a lot of attention given to the higher frequencies, the higher tones, so that all the sounds were easy to pick out. That's important when you've got a fast song and you've got a band who, not just to sort of blow smoke up them, but, a band who are really on, I've said this before, I think if you just took, it's hard to say, this person is the best bassist ever, this person is the best guitarist ever. But if you were just looking at their overall average skill level as a band, I think they would be very hard to beat. I think the just overall skill level is very high. So there's so many interesting things happening there. And also, like I said, when you move the sound level up, when you move everything into slightly higher EQs, it gives a lot of room for the kick to have more room to have impact, to really make the beat more something you can feel. And also when you've got a bassist like Misa, it gives her room to be heard. I mean, I've often said that Conqueror was one of my favorite, probably my favorite Band-Maid album yet. But I do agree with some of the complaints that because there was so much sonically going on in a lot of the songs, that Misa often got pushed down, and you could hear she's doing great bass work that wasn't always so audible on that album. This is certainly one of those cases where you really heard her work. And actually going back to that bridge was a great example when they were doing those playful things like the little piano sounds coming in. I really like those little piano sounds. I really kind of hope they sounded like they were programmed, which is fine. But in a way, I'm sure that Konami wrote them. I hope that Konami sat down and played that on a piano. I mean, the only real piano reference we often think of with Konami and Band-Maid is that one song that has the awful video that I like it, okay. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. So it was really nice to hear a little bit of piano and just think, I bet Konami sat down and played that. I like that though. I like the little bits of piano came in. They were able to be playful with that sound. Misa's bass was very audible. There were little extra sounds that went in there. Nice production pretty much throughout. I mean, that kind of thing, like including little piano bits, it demonstrates that this is a band who, again, kind of the same thing I've been saying throughout. I don't want to keep on flogging this dead horse, but are respecting their sound whilst also being open to being playful. Now, let's move on to something which is a big deal here. I think it's something a lot of people were waiting for, was the video. Because obviously from the first time they showed the artwork for Unleashed, both the record, so old-fashioned, you know what I mean, the album, the release, and for this song, we were all looking at it going, that's really cool. And when I did sort of my predictions, I did a little video talking about the initial announcement. I was saying that I actually really liked the artwork. It wasn't sort of like the greatest artwork ever, like, wow, it's so beautifully detailed. But what I liked about it is it looked more like it was about expression, about showing sort of body language and facial expressions and really giving them character. And also it was kind of a simple enough artwork style that you felt, okay, this is something they're definitely going to play with animating. When it looks too complicated, you think that would take a long time to animate that. But this was the kind of kind of artwork where you think that looks like they're going to animate it, and I'm so glad they did. Now, the video went through some different phases, so let's break that down again and go through that step by step. I mean, I love that it kind of started straight away with the whole anime thing. It was, again, just to point out, my view of anime is a little bit stereotypical because I've seen some, but I am definitely not the sort of person who knows all about anime. Like people, if you usually expect like white guy lives in Japan, you think, oh, he grew up watching anime and now he goes to Japan and buys like secondhand anime in like book off store and stuff like that. No, I know very little about anime, but I've seen it because my friends are into it. But anyway, this kind of had some of those stereotypical beats. Like it starts off with people in particularly beautifully drawn, well-lit scenarios, making expressions and looking at things. I'm looking at you. I'm looking at this way. I'm looking around a corner. And I kind of like that because it didn't feel like it was unawarely being like, it felt like it was, the whole video felt very self-aware, as I'll sort of go on to as we get through this. There was like lots of those poses, and what I really liked is when it went from that and it burst into the kind of that roll call scene where they all sort of shoot across the screen and they're all doing their little thing, and of course Misa, she goes across, a little hip flask, off she goes. I thought that was beautiful. It's kind of thing, you did that in the West, they'd get that banned. You can't show alcohol consumption. No. Loved it. They included that. It's really good. There's a lot of attitude, and then of course you have them all flying through the air together, and I don't know what was going on, but there was like a sort of a sparkling kapow explosion thing happening under Akane's drum kit. #NoBias. Anything that makes Akane like stand out, I'm all for. But that was just, that whole scene was really good. And it was like, it was really cool to see that. I must admit, there was the little bit where you see like Miku's Miku's character playing guitar on what looks like the set from Thrill. Sort of in the anime form. And I thought that was kind of cool. I would have kind of liked to see more of the band like rocking out in anime form as well. I kind of thought that was a cool thing to do. I think they mostly use the characters for just sort of doing their anime-esque stereotype sort of poses and scenes and things, which is cool. Makes for great sort of cool shots. But for a music video, I don't feel that those bits quite had the pace. They were impressive, but I think for rewatches later, you might be sort of wishing those scenes were more pacey, kind of like the roll call scene, more sort of stuff happening. But, still, I can't deny it was really cool to see them pictured that way. And then, of course, from that point, halfway through the video, we switched to like a live action version of the band, which I don't think anyone was expecting that to happen. And it's them on a sort of black set. So obviously the budget all went on the drawing, which I'm, again, fine with that. But I liked, so for example, there was no real clear context, but I like how it started with all the sort of girls, Psyche singing, all the other ladies and just sort of looking around. And I really loved, again, #NoBias, I loved Akane's face, like, what's going on? She gets the Oscar. This year, when we do our Baka Music Awards, we're going to do another Best Acting in a Music Video Award. And the Oscar, I think, is going to go to Akane for that scene. That was just beautiful. But that was really cool. I liked that, how they switched into that and then had them playing. I really liked how then it went to people, like, you sort of really got the levels, it's sort of going out in levels. Like it starts anime, then it goes live action, then it goes back to people watching it on screens. I think they had a missed opportunity there though, because you saw one person watching on like their phone, no context, and another person seemingly looking in a nice looking apartment or home. I think they should have had someone like sitting in a little internet cafe, like in their booth watching. I would have gone for that. I would have played to the stereotype of the sort of people who go to maid cafes. I'm saying this as someone who has stayed in the cafes many times, and I lived in one for a few months at one point. So I've got no position to talk about that too much. I thought that was all sort of really nicely dealt with. And then at the, as it sort of built on, you got like the little sparkles appearing around them, and you could tell they were really leaning into that. And then as it goes into the anime, leaning into that sort of sparkly effect, then it goes really colourful. The end just goes bombastic. It's all colourful. It's over the top. And one of the things that I really felt when, especially when we got to the end and it was going really over the top and really colourful, it kind of made me think, one of the things that Band-Maid, and I like when they lean into this kind of silly, slightly Band-Maid-esque thing. Even though, like I said, I'm not a big fan of like stuff like anime and things like that. I like when they play towards that, because in all honesty, I've talked a lot about how there's been this huge thing about, ever since like really Baby Metal kicked it off, as I've often said, just over 10 years ago, really, with that whole thing about the juxtaposition of image being a really big thing for female bands in Japan. You know, bands who look one way or sound another, or maybe mix, you know, two very different styles of music. And although Band-Maid are a very different thing, they do still carry that thing of having the maid look, which sort of draws you in, like, what's this going to be? And then bam, you've got this like high quality, hard edged rock band who just blow you away. And then they can just do an interview where they're so cute and, oh, she's a pigeon. I did love that scene where Miku jumps and turns into a pigeon, by the way. That was really cool. I noticed that. But yeah, I thought that it was kind of really intriguing to see them lean into the colourful side, because I think, especially, I mean, you take bands like Baby Metal, they started off really doing that. And I understand why they went more hard edge as they got into it. And obviously they found longevity by appealing to more heavy metal like fans. But it does really sort of occur to me that bands like that, they kind of lost the fun of being able to be hard, but, well, to a large extent, they've lost a lot of the fun of being able to be hard, but still look and play on the sort of things that, you know, like a gritty bunch of guys with long hair doing death metal can't really do. And I just love the fact that Band-Maid really take advantage of the fact, you know what, we can do a colourful anime video, which is cutesy and has sparkles everywhere, and still blow you away with a fast rock song. So to me, this really embodied just a lot of awesome things about that. I think I got to the end of my notes now, haven't I? All right, so time for me to give a conclusion. Well, basically, in conclusion, I really did like this. I do have to accept, obviously, we have to be realistic here. It's not like going to be like, wow, that's the best Band-Maid song I've ever heard. It's not going to completely overturn my fandom and make it something new. I still love them as much as I did before. I don't think it would win over anyone who wasn't already a fan of them. I think this is one of those songs that is just a good example to people who already like Band-Maid, that, hey, Band-Maid is still Band-Maid, and they're developing their sound in a really interesting, productive direction. And, you know, they're still able to get that core sound and do things with it. I think the little bits of knowing, careful, tasteful playfulness and clever production, sound mixing, and just the way that, again, they're doing all that great musicianship, but they're working as a band. Each one of them can be virtuoso, but they will pick the spots to work around each other and make a proper arrangement, which is what is more important than anything else, is that the song is a cohesive thing that works. They do that again. And those little things make me very hopeful that the upcoming release, mini album, EP, LP, whatever the hell you want to call it, is going to be another real quality work. Not that I know anyone will question it, but, you know, it's a good indication that we're pointing in a good direction. So for me, this was fantastic. I was expecting this to be quite a short review, but it's over 17 minutes already, apparently. So I'm going to say thank you so much. As always, leave your comments. Thank you so much if you watched this whole video. And until I hopefully see you very soon in Japan for the next one of these. Actually, I'm in Korea right now. I'll get back to Japan soon. You know what I'm talking about. But anyway, until I see you very soon, for now, I hit my hat. It's a new hat. I wasn't prepared for that. I didn't rehearse. Oh no, it's in the way. I look cool. Ciao, ciao.